literally 3 weeks ago, I had a meeting with a potential investor, and I thought I pre-qualified him pretty well. I said, look, I'm looking for minimum $100,000 for apartment building deals, returns somewhere between 10 and 15%, etc. And he took the meeting. So I figured that he would be capable and interested in investing at that level. So I'm 45 minutes into telling me about myself, about the kind of deals we're doing. We're going through the deal package, all that stuff. And then he goes, yeah, but I only have like $25,000 to invest. I was like, darn it, really, how can this be? So I thought about it, and I said, hey, do you have an IRA? He goes, yeah, I got like $500,000 in the IRA. And I'm like, I should have brought this up earlier, not at this point. And this just goes to show that a lot of people don't know they can actually invest with their IRA. And there's so much money in people's IRAs, and it's earning hardly anything. Now, is someone going to invest their entire retirement fund with you? No, probably not, but they'll invest a portion of it. Even if it's 10%, that'll be 50,000 or whatever the case may be. As a result, he was continuing to be very interested and is now one of my potential investors. And knowing how to invest with the IRA is a must-have in your toolbox. And it's important that you know how it works so that you can explain it to other investors in simple terms. Because a confused mind says no, right? So when you're talking to an investor, it's got to be really simple. So you have to have it down real pat, and you know how to explain it in simple terms that people can understand, but you also have to be able to answer certain questions. So what I've done here is I've actually have an interview with a national speaker and educator for Equity Trust Company. They are the largest IRA custodian, or one of the largest IRA custodian, and one that I have used repeatedly for my own investments, as well as I recommend my investors to work with them. And because they just do a really good job, they just take care of it. It's very precise, and they're fast to work with, and they tell you exactly what you need to do to get the money in the account and how to get it to the closing table. So I've really enjoyed working with them. So I had a chance now to interview John Bowens, who travels the country teaching other people, goes to conferences, how to do that stuff. So he's really got this thing down because he's answered these questions so frequently, and it was really nice talking with him. And we go through the different kinds of IRAs, like the difference between a Roth and a traditional, why you would want one. It's not one better than the other. It's just what are you looking for? What are you trying to do? What can you invest in? What kind of real estate? And we talk obviously a lot about apartment buildings with a focus on syndication, right? So what can and can't you do? That's really, really important. It's got to be an arm's length transaction. Can't be a prohibited transaction. So we talk a lot about that. We all talk about, hey, from the time that your investor says, yes, I want to invest with you, what then happens specifically, and how long does it take to actually get the money to Equity Trust Company, and from there to the closing company. And also what we talk about, John talks about some advanced things, like I didn't even know these things. You could open up IRAs for your children, and you can even open up for your parents. And you can do some very interesting things with IRAs that have been around for decades. And that's something I didn't know either, so something to think about. And John talks about that. So I really hope you'll join me. To get this podcast, you go to themichaelblanc.com/session18. Session 18, there's a quick write-up on this, as well as a link to the iTunes podcast, or just point your iPad, your your podcast app, and look for Michael Blanc and find this 18th podcast with John Bowens. Hope you enjoy. Talk to you later.